Why don't we commence this meeting? It's 7:01. We do have a quorum if we need to vote on anything, which we may need to do. And I know that Mika Cardozo unfortunately cannot make it this evening. But if there are any issues we need to discuss with him, he'll certainly avail himself, if not this evening, following our meeting. Okay. So we're calling to order. And the first order of business is to welcome Tom Hennick, who's here to discuss freedom of information. And then we'll commence with the rest of our meeting agenda, if that sounds okay. Is there anything that's pressing that we need to discuss before? I think not from my perspective. So why don't we let Tom take it away? And this is really sort of a summarized educational opportunity for us to kind of get a handle on what the Freedom of Information Act means and how that impacts the work we do and what we just need to be aware of. For those of you who've never been to the Freedom of Information discussion, or even as a reminder for those of us who have been a part of that. So take it away, Tom. And while I'm speaking, why don't we mute ourselves so we don't have interference? If I can find my mute button, which seems to disappear on me. Hi, everybody.
I can mute everyone, Andrea.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
So we're ready to go? Okay.
All right.
So folks, thank you for the invitation. We'd like to do these workshops in person, but life today is different. And the chairman has asked me to come and give you sort of a brief overview, spend a few minutes with you on FOI. And what I want you to think about is, as I'm talking, if you have questions, I want you to just jump in, unmute yourself and jump in. I'd rather, we have it more informal, more of a conversational session. I am the public education officer at the Freedom of Information Commission. And my job is to do these workshops, but also to answer questions on the phone, to answer emails. So now you have a face to put with a voice on the other end of the phone. If you have issues, if you have questions, don't ever hesitate to pick up the phone and call. You can ask some of the other officials in your town. I will call you back. The purpose of the Freedom of Information Act is basically to make sure that governmental entities, public agencies, if you will, are transparent so that people can understand what's going on, what they're doing, and basically give people a window into the work you do. Now, when you look at public education, we go out and we just try to tell people a little bit more so that if freedom of information becomes an issue for you, you can deal with it a little more rationally. You're all volunteers. You come into this not signing up for freedom of information. I should tell you, by the way, that I speak from experience when I tell you that it can be difficult. I was on a board for 10 years in my town. I was the chairman for the last 5. And then just when I thought I got away from it, they hooked me in for another 2. So I know what it's like. You have your real life. You're working during the day or doing something else during the day, and you gulp down dinner and you run to a meeting, and you're sometimes confronted by some of this freedom of information stuff. The Freedom of Information Act is about 2 basic things. There's 2 basic components: access to public meetings and access to public records. Talking to you tonight, I'm going to focus on the meetings provisions because I would assume that, and that's always dangerous, by the way, but I would assume that staff can help you with records issues when they come up. The primary thing that you need to remember when it comes to freedom of information in your meetings is that you need to do your work in public. The law talks about making sure that your meetings are properly noticed, that they're open to the public, and that there are minutes of those meetings when the meetings are done. Now, in today's world, in pandemic world, it's a little bit different than what we usually talk about. But when you look at the governor's executive order, which was issued back in March, it really pretty much talks about making sure that the public still has live real-time access to the meetings. So we can meet this way. The requirement that we meet in person is waived, but we still have to have real-time access so that you have your video available. People can watch you in action, or if you're Zooming, you send a link. I'm not, it depends on the platform that you use. But the key is that people have real-time access to your meetings. One of the things that happens a lot of times, let me just read you a piece of the definition of a meeting so you get sort of the overview. Meeting means any hearing or other proceeding of a public agency, any convening or assembly of a quorum of a multi-member public agency, and any communication by or to a quorum of a multi-member public agency, whether in person or by means of electronic equipment, to discuss or act upon a matter over which the public agency has supervision, control, jurisdiction, or advisory power. So anytime you gather in any way, shape, or form to have a conversation about your responsibilities, your job, your budget, the condition of the playgrounds, the condition of the fields, you have to think in terms of, hey, this is a meeting. It's got to be noticed, open. There need to be minutes when you're done. When we talk about notice, we talk about an agenda. You want your agenda to be available at least 24 hours in advance. The agenda needs to be as specific as possible. You want to make sure that when people look at that agenda, they say, okay, that's a meeting I need to go to. That's not a meeting I need to go to. And you want to make sure that people are fairly apprised. That's the word that the courts throw out as, fairly apprised as to what is going to happen. That agenda needs to be available 24 hours in advance in your office, and it needs to be available in the town clerk's office. Now, the law talks to us about 3 different kinds of meetings. We have a regular meeting, a special meeting, and then there's an emergency meeting. The ones that you'll deal with the most are the regular and the special. You set a schedule. The schedule says you meet on the fourth Monday of every month, second and fourth Tuesday of every month. Whatever that is, that becomes your regular meeting schedule. You meet then, you put your agenda in, you take care of business. Special meeting is a meeting that you have when you're not scheduled to meet. Now, a lot of times people see that word special and they get very nervous. They say, we can't do this. We can do anything you need to do at a special meeting. The only thing special about it is that it's happening at a time and a place that's not your regular time. The difference between the two is that at a regular meeting, should something arise that's not on that agenda that you've prepared, you can add things to the agenda. Someone can make a motion and say, I move, Madam Chairman, that we talk about this topic. It's not on the agenda. You move, it's seconded. You can add it to the agenda. At a special meeting, you can't. That's the difference. So when you're in a regular meeting mode, you can add items to the agenda. At a special meeting, you can't. So that's why specificity is so important, especially for a special meeting. When we prepare agendas, we cut and paste. Other business, old business, new business. Well, that's not a great agenda item, but at least at a regular meeting, the chairman could say, is there any other business? And you could add something. But at a special meeting, using those other business, old business, with nothing written underneath it, you might as well take them off because you can't add anything. You can't say, is there any other business if the item isn't specified on a special meeting agenda. That's the difference between the two. The emergency meeting is the third kind of meeting. And folks, I really discourage you from using the emergency meeting. Emergency meeting is a meeting that you have when you're not in a position to wait 24 hours at least for the meeting. And the thing is, the bar is set really high for what constitutes an emergency. The law doesn't want us, it doesn't envision us meeting in an emergency fashion. It wants us to meet in a notice fashion. So, a lot of times people say, oh, gee, I forgot the agenda. Does that make it an emergency? Well, in our minds, by the way, I'm not an attorney. So in our non-legal minds, we think, gee, that sounds like it might not be an emergency. It might be an emergency because we got a lot to do. But oops, I forgot is not an emergency. I really encourage you to avoid using the emergency meeting. The meetings are open to the public. Anybody can come. Yeah, you don't have to live in town. Somebody from Bethany wants to come to one of your meetings, they can do that. Freedom of Information Act does not give anybody the right to speak at a public meeting. A lot of people think that it does. Public speaking is entirely in your hands as a board. So you have the opportunity to say, okay, we're going to limit public speaking to this topic tonight, or we're going to give people only 2 minutes or 3 minutes tonight. You can mold it. You can set it up any way you want to so that you can control your meeting. Now, obviously, we all have public speaking, or most of us do at our meetings, and it's not something I'm telling you not to do. But a lot of times people get carried away, they talk too long, all of those things. You really have an opportunity to run it as you see fit. So you can set up public speaking before, after, in the middle. You can run it anyway, but it's not something that you're obligated to do under freedom of information. Now, the law gives us a couple of paths that you can take to exclude the public. You can, I think, yes, go ahead, please. I'm not hearing you.
Yeah. Hi,
There we
thank
go.
you. Thanks for unmuting me. Hi, yeah, quick question. I know on our agenda, we had set a limit of up to 5 minutes per group or individual, and sometimes 5 minutes can be way too long if there's a lot of discussion about a particular issue. We have that written in our agenda. Should we not have that limit written in our agenda ahead of time?
No, I mean, if that's what you're going to do, that's certainly fine. I mean,
But if it ends up that there's an issue that we really can't afford to allot 5 minutes per person to speak, if it's, you know, a larger issue and there are a number of people speaking, is it better to not say what the limit is in our agenda and say at the beginning of the meeting that people have X number of minutes to speak on this topic?
if you think it might change from meeting to meeting, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Or you could say something like, public speaking will be no more than 5 minutes at the discretion of the chair, or something like that.
So that's something that maybe we should have in our agenda.
If that's been giving you an issue, yes, I would say yes.
Okay. It varies. Not of recent, but in the past, if there's a big issue where we have a lot of people coming up to speak. Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Okay, sure.
Thanks.
So have you all heard of executive session? I assume you have. Remember, folks, that an executive session is a portion of a publicly noticed open meeting. It is not something that sits out on an island by itself. So even if you have a meeting with only one item and the only item is an executive session item, you still need to notice the meeting. You need to convene in public. You need to vote to go into executive session, citing one of the 5 reasons for executive session. You go into executive session, you have whatever discussion you're going to have, then you come out of that executive session to vote. If you can take anything away from tonight, do not ever, ever take action behind closed doors. The law is very specific. It wants you to come out and vote, and the minutes need to reflect specifically who votes for what or for whom. There's 5 reasons for executive session. Broadly stated, a personnel matter, pending claims or pending litigation, a security matter, discussion of a land transaction. Let's suppose you're going to buy land to build a new baseball field or a new soccer field, and you're negotiating with the landowners. You could have those negotiations behind closed doors. The law would allow that. It wouldn't want you to sort of tip your hand in public. You can also have a discussion about a document or documents that you believe are exempt from disclosure. A good example would be there's an exemption in the FOI Act. It's a temporal exemption. But if you put a project out to bid, let's suppose you put something out to bid for new equipment for something. You put it out to bid, and the bids come in from all sorts of different sporting goods companies, and you want to look at them. Well, the exemption says that you're allowed to withhold the content of bids until you've actually signed the contract. So you could go into executive session to talk about the contents of those bids because the documents themselves are exempt from disclosure. You go in, you talk about it, you look at the different bid alternates, and then you come out to take whatever action you're going to take. And at that point, the bids would be released, but you could talk about them behind closed doors. The personnel executive session, when you are noticing that, when you're making a motion on that, remember that it has to say more than just executive session personnel. You don't necessarily have to name the individual, but you do have to have more than that. Executive session plan discussion of a park department employee, discussion of a public works employee, something like that. The person then needs to be notified in advance. The person has the right to be told in advance that he or she is going to be the topic of an executive session. And if the person says, hey, I don't want that to be an executive session, I want that to be in public, then you would have to have the discussion in public. You could not go into executive session. But where some people get confused is they say, well, wait a minute, I don't want it to be public, but darn it, I wanted to be in that executive session. If you're going to talk about me, I have a right to be in executive session. And emphatically, that is not the case. Once the person waives that right to the open session, you then have a right to say, we're going into executive session, and it's your determination whether or not the individual joins you. You can invite anybody you want into any executive session to give evidence, to give testimony, to use somebody's expertise, to hear somebody's side of the story, but it's never required. So who comes in with you beyond board members is entirely up to you as well. The executive session for legal matters. You've been sued, there's a grievance or something like that. You can go into executive session to have a conversation about your strategy. And the executive session for security matters, I hope it never comes up for you. It's pretty extreme. It's, people being threatened, people in danger. You could go into executive session for that. Key thing to remember is you need to vote to go in, you have your discussion, then you come out to take whatever action you're going to take. So there's another path in addition to executive session, and it's a little bit confusing because of the way it's written, but the definition of meetings that I read to you, the sentence that follows that in the law says meeting does not include. Meeting does not include. And there follows a list of things, every single one of which we would say, gee, that sounds like a meeting to me. In my definition of a meeting, that would be a meeting. But for the purpose of freedom of information, the legislature said, no, that's not a meeting. It includes collective bargaining. Do you deal with unions? Do you have to deal with unions? No. Okay. So that would be, that's okay. But if you ever had a union situation where you had to negotiate a contract, you do that behind executive session, behind closed doors, not in executive session. The one that would probably apply to you the most would be chance gatherings or social gatherings. You all get together, you like each other, you want to go out to dinner. And the way that's written, it says you can do that, but you technically can't talk about board business. And I get a chuckle out of that because if you guys go out, what the hell else are you going to talk about? Let's not be naive. My advice on that, my very strong advice is that, look, it's going to happen. Avoid the deep, deliberative conversations that you should be having at a meeting, at the meeting table. Because inevitably, the one time you all go out to dinner, you're sitting there, you're having dinner, you drive down to Pepe's or something like that, you're having a nice pizza, and you start talking, you have this passionate discussion about, board business. I guarantee you the wrong person's sitting in the next booth and files a complaint that you've had an illegal meeting. So be real careful the level to which you discuss board business outside of the arena of a meeting. And to that end, I go back to the definition. I want to stress something. It said whether in person or by means of electronic equipment. And when we talk about electronic equipment, how do we communicate today? We text, we email, all of those things. Folks, if you start emailing each other, going back and forth about board business, what do you think about that? What do you think about this? You could have a problem. That could be a meeting, whether in person or by means of electronic equipment. So the extent to which you use those things, be very, very careful. Again, you can send something out and say, what do you want on the agenda? Well, that's fine. Or somebody can send something out and say, I feel really strongly about this issue. Let's talk about it at the next meeting. That's fine. But when you send out that I feel really strongly thing and people comment, well, I don't, and I disagree, and we should do this, we should do that, that's when you've got a problem. And you want to make sure you avoid those kind of conversations. People will say, well, who's going to know? Well, remember, one of the things that I will leave you with about records is every time you create a record in the conduct of board business, by definition, it's a public record. So someone could say, I want to see any and all emails between board members about topic X, and you'd have to produce them. And that could reveal an illegal meeting and might reveal some things you didn't want people to really know that you've been talking about. So you want to be real careful. Think before you write, think before you send. The other thing about meetings, and again, I'm being very careful with the time here. If I go over anything too quickly, please stop me. Minutes. I assume that you have somebody who's a good minutes taker. Here's my advice on minutes. They need not be the recreation of War and Peace. They are not every word that everybody says. You want to make sure that they're a nice, crisp, concise recapitulation of what happens, but not a verbatim transcript. We find ourselves when we do verbatim transcript, I didn't say that, I didn't mean that, can we change that? It's technically supposed to be a record of the votes, and obviously you want more than that in there, but it's a capsule, it's a recapitulation. It's not necessarily a word-for-word transcription of what happened. The other thing I want to share with you, again, I can't stress it enough, the idea with records. Anytime a public agency creates a record, receives a record, anytime it crosses the threshold, it becomes by definition a public record. Now, when we do the sort of the full-blown FOI workshop, we spend hours on the records provisions because, yes, everything becomes a public record, but then there are multiple exemptions, exceptions, exclusions to different kinds of records. And so you have to know what they are. And that, again, that's where staff is going to help you. But you have to remember that everything becomes a public record. I took a phone call a couple of weeks ago from a woman. She says, "Hi, my name is Sean." I said, "Hi, Sean, how are you?" She said, "Good." She said, "I'm calling you from Georgia." I said, "Georgia? Who's calling me from Georgia?" She says, "Yeah, my husband is an out-of-state contractor, and he did a job in Connecticut last summer. And I think he had an affair with a state worker." Why is she calling me? It wasn't me. I didn't, Well, she's calling me because she wants to know if she can see this state worker's emails or texts or phone records or things like that. And I said, well, if they have to do with the project, the answer is yes. Meet me at the construction trailer at 6 o'clock. We'll review the blueprints for the project. And then, She said, good, it'll help me with my divorce. Now, obviously, that's not going to be something you folks have to deal with. But remember, everything becomes a public record. You want to make sure that you understand that. If you ever get a request for records, remember that you must respond in 4 business days. Now, respond doesn't necessarily mean produce the records. It means acknowledge. We've got your request. We're looking into it. So always have it in your mind that if you get a request, I don't know how you're structured, who would answer that kind of a request for you, but you need to respond to the request within 4 days and then set about getting the records if there are any to be produced. Other couple things quickly on records, that you need not create a record you don't have. Many public agencies are asked for lists and things like that, you don't have to create one if you don't have one, and you don't have to do research for people. And it doesn't matter where you are, where the record is. Oh, I was working at home. It was my personal laptop, my personal desktop. Doesn't matter. If you have a record that has to do with Woodbridge business, it becomes a public record. Doesn't matter where it is. So, Andrea, you asked for a certain amount of time. I think we're almost there. Let me open it up to questions if anybody has any.
Thank you. That was a really great presentation. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay. And it's good. I trust you. Give us your contact info.
Well, that's secret. I can't share that. I can't share that.
Andrea, I have a question.
Go ahead.
John Adamovich. I'm the retention director.
Hi, John.
Hi. We get asked for Freedom of Information Act, asked for something, and we refer it to our commissioner, our chairperson, our commission. Does our commission have to refer that to the town? Does the town have to be told that somebody's looking for something?
John, have to under FOI? No. It depends on how you're structured, though. If the town, that's the way they want to do business, you follow that. But FOI would say no.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
But at the same time, is it acceptable to check with the town before responding?
Absolutely. It depends on how you do business. It's not our play, and I don't mean to sort of blow the question off. It's just really depends on how you want to do business. It depends on what you think, what the structure is in town, and frankly, one first selectman's administration could do it one way, and then someone would want to do it another way.
Sure.
But that's something you should probably check and run it off that way. I was thinking about records, and it dawns on me that because you're Parks and Rec, there is one that you should be aware of if I can find it. You are allowed to withhold, let's see, where are you? The name or address of any minor enrolled in any Parks and Recreation program administered or sponsored by any public agency. So I suspect you get different kinds of requests for records like that, especially some from people looking for lists, looking to try to sell people things because they know you've got kids signed up for programs. So that would be, if you wanted to write it down, 1-210B23. And that's an exemption that you're allowed to withhold. It's not a required exemption, but it's one you're allowed to invoke if you have a request for records like that.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Anything else you wanted to ask about? I did a lot of stuff quickly so we could try to hit a lot of the highlights.
You did a great job.
All right. Listen, here's what usually happens. I hang up and you say, oh, we should have asked.
Yeah.
The invitation to call at any time, you call, and I will call you back. Just leave a message if I'm not there, because some days we're in the office, some days we're not.
Mm-hmm.
Retrieving phone calls from home gets a little dicey sometimes. Just call. We'll be happy to take care. And I would rather have you call before something becomes a problem.
Sure.
I'd rather head off a problem at the pass, if you will, rather than have somebody file a complaint and say that you've done something improperly.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. And let me just a shout out to Jim Franco when Jim was out, John DeMeo, that the minutes get in very quickly. And I know Jim has attended a lot of the Freedom of Information talks in the past. And so, I really trust that we have that under control thanks to the rec department.
Way to go, guys. Way to go.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
All right.
And John.
All right.
John.
Thanks, Andrea.
Okay, so I will sign off.
That was great. Thank you so much for taking the time to be
You're
here.
welcome. Happy to do it. Have a good rest of your evening and be well. Be safe.
Thank you. You as well.
All right. So long, guys.
Bye, Tom. Thanks. All right. That was really helpful. Any comments about that? Or was it helpful?
Thank you for arranging that. It was very interesting.
Sure. Thank you, Jim, for making it happen. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Okay.
It was John who did it. John did all the arranging on that. John DeMeo.
Thank you, John. John DeMeo or John?
John DeMeo.
DeMeo.
Thank you to John DeMeo, who is he there in the background somewhere?
No, I'm on my own computer.
Oh, are you there, John? I hear you. I don't see you, but thank you.
Thank you, John.
No problem.
Oh, you're meetings host.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. Let's proceed on. Do we have any public comments? I don't know if you received any public comments.
No, we didn't get any emails or anything on the public comments.
Okay. All right. So let's review the minutes. I took the liberty of trying to reach out to Mike Helfenbein and see if he'd make the meeting. I know he was involved with some work issues and he'll join when and if he can. So we'll proceed on and let's review the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to look over the minutes?
Yep.
Yeah, the only thing, gosh, I always do this in the wrong order. We make a motion, I'm sorry, I should get this down by now. We make a motion to pass the minutes in a second and then discussion, correct? I see Jim nodding. Thank you, Jim. All right, so do we have a motion to pass the minutes?
I make a motion to pass the minutes.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you. And so any discussion? So the only thing I noticed, and I think it was a little confusing when I read that email towards the end for other business. So I wondered if maybe the language, I need to correct that, for number 11, that an email was read, I'm thinking perhaps this makes more sense. An email was read aloud to be made public from August 24th between Michael, Andrea, and Jim regarding the field use and programs and the COVID-19 impact on recreational activities, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make more sense?
Should that email have been put in this packet or
This was
the way you said it?
this was
I
the
don't understand.
email that I read aloud at the last.
Right. Okay, so it's in the minutes. You read it, right?
Right, exactly. So I just thought the way in which it was read. Sorry, I'm echoing. In the way it's written in the minutes. That I think maybe that was a bit confusing. I wondered if the verbiage should be the way I just said it. Do you want me to repeat that, Jim?
Okay, go ahead, one more time.
Okay, so I was thinking maybe it's clear if it reads like this. An email was read aloud. You can say that Andrea read it aloud if you think that's appropriate. So an email was read aloud to be made public from August 24th between Michael, Andrea, and Jim regarding the field use and programs and the COVID-19 impact, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make sense? Because the email was
And then
read
people could-
so that the public could hear that email that occurred.
And Jim, maybe the next sentence after that could be, since it was a regular meeting, comma, the topic could be mentioned other programs/sports.
That sound okay? Okay.
Yeah, that's very good.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion about the minutes? I know, Jane, you weren't here for that last meeting, so you're not able to vote on the minutes. But the rest of us who are in the room, we were here. Any other discussion? You feel free to nod your head. Okay. All in favor. So with that modification to the minutes, all in favor of accepting the minutes, please raise your hand or say aye.
All right.
Okay. Okay. So moved. All right. Liaison reports, as I mentioned, Mika unfortunately can't be here as the Board of Selectmen, and Ellen Skalatar, who's our financial liaison, she's also not here.
Andrew, there's been a change. Andrew?
Yes.
Andrew, in the last finance, at the last finance department, Tom Kennefic is now our liaison. I did email him. There's no reply, but Ellen has been replaced by Tom Kennefic.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. How do you spell his last name?
Kennefick.
Thank you. All right. So we have no liaison report. In terms of chair report, I just, our primary interest, which I reiterate each meeting, is the safety and well-being of our community, and that translates into our programming. I know this evening we'll have discussion about programs and the impact of COVID-19 on our program decisions, and that, we continue as a department and commission to take this very seriously and to really consider the pros and cons of the programs that we're offering. So we'll have further discussion about that this evening, I'm sure, in the agenda that follows. So that's really all I have to say in terms of the chair report. I hope everyone's doing well. And if there are any concerns, by all means, please share them. If there's any way we as a commission can be of support to anyone, we are here for you as a community. I'm to say that on my behalf, and I'm going to take the leap that we're here for each other. With that, do we have a vice chair report? Smith?
No, I don't have anything at this point.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So we have printed out this nice packet that Jim and or John DeMeo prepared for us. Thank you to both of you or to whomever did this. I think it was Jim. Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's really great for those of you who are in the rec office that everyone's taking proper precautions in terms of distance, masking and protection. All right. So looking through my depths in my packet here, and looking for the piece about the meeting dates.
It's right after the minutes. It's the
There we go.
meetings for next year.
Yeah. All right. Good. So
I followed the example that we did this year with no July meeting and then the combined November-December meeting having that on December 6th. So I just followed what we were doing to schedule this year. So
great. And that factored in. First, I guess we need to do a motion. Right. Do we have a motion to accept these meeting dates for 2021?
it's on you.
So moved.
Okay.
Accept the schedule as given.
Okay, we have a second.
What do you
Okay, we have
need
a
to-
second.
I second it.
Okay. Okay, great. Any discussion about these dates? I did a quick glance. It looks like you factored in various holidays. That no meetings fall on holidays, as far as I know. And does that December 6th meeting, does this all work in terms of discussions we have to have about budget and giving enough time, John, for you to prepare all issues?
Correct.
Great. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor of this schedule, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did anyone not say aye? Jane, I don't hear you. Or see you. If you can raise your hand and say aye if you agree.
I don't know how this is working.
We see some lovely pottery.
You know what? Let me get somebody who can fix this.
Well, actually, we hear your voice. Do you agree with this
Okay.
meeting schedule for 2021? We're just taking a vote on that.
Of course.
All right. Okay. So we're all in favor. So moved. Okay. We'll get this together, even though we're not in person. Everyone's doing real well. The best we can, right? All right. Okay. Let's move to the pool. And I see Teresa is there, at least in words. Hi, Teresa. How are you?
Sparkling as always.
That's great. We feel your sparkle. What have you got to tell us about the pool?
We had our, what are we on? Our second, right? Second of our weekend swims, going absolutely fabulous. We have a great staff. We have 3 people who have already worked with us. The 3 people understand the responsibilities that are being entailed, such as wearing masks the entire time. The door checker also, or the temperature checker doubles. He would be the fill-in as the lifeguard. I want to keep it down to 3 because if God forbid something does break out, we're only tracing 3 people. I'm there monitoring everyone over the weekend. So is Christopher, making sure everything goes smoothly. We did have some quite interesting questions that my brother, Christopher and I had to field out. And it's a good thing that we're there because, it was a decision that we had to make. Some people showed up and they didn't have appointments. But it was handled and dealt with very receptively and understandingly. One person came and they wanted to see what the pool looked like because they haven't seen it in a while. And we explained to them how we have a setup of things with the mask and the temperature and all that good fun stuff. Besides that, everyone has had a very warm response to it. They love our setup. They love how safe we're being. We have containers at the opposite side of each lanes. They get a pass that is color coded, and we only color code it just so we can see them at the pool. If they don't, color coding doesn't mean anything. With the lane number and the time that you're swimming, we have someone to make sure that everyone's following the rules. So the lifeguard doesn't take their eyes off the pool. She'll give them a 10-minute warning before their swim's over. And after the 10-minute warning, she tells them when their swim is over. Everyone exits the building immediately, and then the next group enters the building. They receive their lane pass with the time on it, puts it in front of their lane, enters at the opposite end where the container is. Everyone gets temperature checked. Jim and John do a great job of printing out and giving me the list on Fridays of where the appointments are, lane wise and time wise, and it's going really, really well, really well. And I think we opened at an appropriate pace. I think we opened at an appropriate time, and I think we opened at an appropriate amount of time, because it's always better to do it right than do it twice. And in this case, we have no option of doing it twice, because being in a pandemic situation, people's health are paramount right now. So I think us being able to open up in small steps and control how people are and making sure things are staying safe, staying clean is very important. We have Jerry there cleaning in between. He's doing an awesome job. The custodial staff's doing an awesome job. Just everyone's wearing masks, keeping distance, staying safe, and everyone's working great. Before we start every swim, I talk to everyone, make sure there's no concerns or comments or anything like that, and everyone's doing a great job.
Great to hear. How have the numbers been? How many swimmers have you gotten on this? It's been 2 Saturdays and 2 Sundays so far, right?
Yeah, we've been pretty. The first Saturday, 12 o'clock, every lane was full. So I don't have the numbers right in front of me offhand. I apologize. But yeah, it wasn't a dull moment. Everyone just knew what to do and came in really steadily. I think we had like one no-show, and then people came in and we explained it to them. I took them to the side outside and explained to them and gave them information. We also have rules for when you came in. I gave them to John to review beforehand, and Jimmy and stuff. And they're things like just telling them things that we've already established as a commission, that you enter one way in the locker rooms, you can rinse off, but 6 feet apart, there's no changing. You get down to the locker room, just basically telling them the steps necessary while they're in and out. Hey, when you get out of the pool, you get out, you go. So it's just emphasizing what we've already discussed as a commission. You must wear your mask. Temperature must be taken. Appointments, no more than 5 minutes early. There's no hanging out in the lobby, things like that. I just put it down on paper so people have it easy to reference. And we hand it to everybody as they walk in for their swim time. If they've already received them and they're a repeat customer, most of the time they say, oh, I don't need them. If we ask them hey, is this your first time back since we've reopened? Yes, we ask them to take a second and read the rules. So everything's going good.
Great. It would be great to have that in our packet for next time, just so we can see what you're distributing. It sounds like it's going really well. Jim, do you have the numbers, or is that something we should ask for next time?
I could get them for next time, but very few spots. I mean, she's right. 12 o'clock is always full. 1 o'clock, there's very little spots. And same thing. They're really just like 1 or 2 openings. Each weekend, we really, very few spots. Okay, so, yes, and people like it. And the comments we're getting, or I'm getting, is that they wish it was done this way all the time, because they don't have to worry about sharing a lane. They have their lane booked and they're all set and they know. So I'm getting positive feedback from this.
That's terrific. Yeah, I see later on we've got some correspondence about this. That's great to hear. Sounds really wonderful that the safety precautions are working and that people are respecting that. Now, after someone swims, does anyone go back into the change room or not? I'm wondering how this is going to work as it gets colder out.
If when it gets colder out, I get a robe.
Okay, so people are not going back into the locker room once they have done their swim.
This is, and everyone may have their own standpoint and a view on this. But when I watched the news this afternoon, the numbers are going back up, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we had what, 2,000? I'm pretty confident it was 648, excuse me, since last weekend. I might be off a little bit here. So the reality of the fact is this: the numbers are going back up.
You're talking about in Connecticut, Teresa?
Yes, in Connecticut, correct. I can get you the exact numbers, but the reality of the fact is the numbers are going back up. Yes, it's a little chilly outside, but guess what? Your hair would still be wet when you left the pool anyways. You would still be a little bit chilly. So the only thing I could tell you is, get a robe, put a shirt on, put some pants on. I mean, we've had our fair share. If you've played hockey or fell in the mud when it's cold outside and it's raining, your mom picked you up or dad's picked you up, and even myself at rec camp scooped you up, put you in the car, and you're freezing cold and your mom put a towel underneath you. So get a robe and we'll all be okay.
Okay. Safety first.
Teresa, is there any indication from past numbers that obviously this is a brand new system, but do more people generally use the pool on the weekends in the winter compared to the fall?
So in the winter time, regardless, our pool numbers would always go down. And it's just because sometimes it's very cold, right? And what people don't like to go outside with wet hair. And that's the reason why. And we don't have, fancy hand dryers. We have hand dryers. So there's no way to really blow dry your hair in there. And people don't like going outside with wet hair and things like that. And sometimes people associate with, going outside, being cold from the water. That's how you get sick. So it would go down a little bit, but not tremendously.
And obviously with this new system, we can control how many people are in there anyway.
Right, correct. And that's the best thing about it. And also now with the new system, they know what to bring with them because they know what steps they need to do when they're leaving the pool.
Okay, thank you.
So it's 6 swimmers at most at any one time. Is that right? It's 6 lanes?
Correct. The pool has 6 lanes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Teresa.
Oh. Yes, if anybody has wet hair coming out of the pool, they have a thing called a hat. Put a hat on here.
Great invention. All right. But it sounds like we do give people a moment to throw on some sweatpants or a robe or something before they have to leave the area.
Correct.
All right. Nice. Okay. Well, it's great to hear that people are enjoying the swim and that it's staying safe. And of course, we'll continue this unless we have more concerns about, increase of numbers. And certainly if there's as we mentioned last time, if there's a change in what's happening at the school, that will certainly impact the pool usage. Very nice report. Thank you. Thank you for the diligence, everyone. Next, I know we have the Beecher Adaptive Swim Program information from Anthony Taddy, and in our packet, there was some details about what that adaptive swim will entail. Did everyone have a chance to look at that? So every year this swim program takes place and we always vote on it in this commission meeting. I know Anthony Taddy was eager to get it going, but this year of all years, we don't make an exception about, the importance of voting on this, this program. So just to review, we have the adaptive swimming program, and it goes into details about how many students it would be, who this swim coaches would be, either Mr. Taddy or Mr. Lavaway, and how the changing and all the details. The one thing that Mr. Taddy suggested is that they'd like to use the family change room because it would be easier to monitor a student from the door if there's a concern. And then I guess the other option is to use the larger change room. And it gets into the details and in terms of a safety plan. Let's take a motion to accept the adaptive swimming program as proposed by Mr. Taddy.
Could I ask, Andrew, could I ask Jim a quick question?
Sure.
Jim, is this, other than the safety protocols, is the program any different than in previous years?
No, right. It's their normal, it's the normal adaptive swim program, correct. And they've added the safety, obviously they've added the cleaning after they use the facility. That's what's new this year.
Okay, but the actual structure of the program is the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a motion to accept, or I'll make a motion to accept the adaptive swimming program as proposed by Anthony Taddy, and then we'll open it. Okay, Smith, you make a motion. Do we have a second? Mary. All right, and any further discussion, concerns? Do we think that this is a reasonable plan that, pardon me, the students would use the family change room? I'd like also if, John, Teresa, if you think this is reasonable, given you're the closest to what's been happening in terms of the usage of the pool.
Yes, I think this is a good thing. It's more monitored. It can be controlled better, and our cleaning would take effect right after it.
Okay.
I think it's a good thing.
Okay. Any concerns? So it seems like this is a really important program to, that's been very helpful for the students who've participated. And at this point, again, unless there's a change in the school safety situation, let's take a vote on if we agree that.
Just one thing real quick. I'm sorry, Andrea. Mr. A, did you say our cleaning would happen right after their program, right?
Yes,
Sorry.
yes. He hired them to be the guard, but when he's done, they will pay for the cleaning and take care of it right after they're done.
So they're swimming from 8:45 until, because their proposal doesn't have a time in it, 8:45 to.
I have 9 to 10. I thought somewhere I saw on here.
Yeah, I thought I did too.
Listen,
9 to 10?
Yes, so right on top of it, it's 9 to 10.
On the A day, and Mr. B day, and Mr. B on the B
On the
day.
B days.
Yeah, 9
So
to
the
10.
most will be 4 students in there, and then the next day on the B day will be 3 students. And after they leave, Jerry will clean it, and at 10 o'clock. And he should be done by 10:30. If doing that, it should be done by 10:30. If we open up the 2 locker rooms, it's going to take a good hour and a half to go up there and clean all those big locker rooms. But since it's such a limited amount of students, we could limit it to the changing room. It'd be perfect. And it'd be cleaned successfully.
Is Jerry also going to clean?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Jerry's the guard on duty, so he's the one that has to clean his room.
Okay, because that's.
So when he's done, anything that's used, anything they use has to be cleaned. Guard room, since the guard is doing it.
Okay, cool. Because he put in his note that he would be using it, and unfortunately, I didn't get this notice until the meeting, so I apologize. That sounds good.
Sorry, there's a lot of echoing. I'm not sure if it's from me. So, thank you, Teresa. Those are important questions. Any other discussion? So all in favor of the adaptive swim program running, it would be, I know Mr. Taddy is looking for it to start October 30th at 9 a.m. All in favor of the program starting? Please say aye. Please say aye. And Jake, you could take it off mute. You could take it off mute. Was that an aye from Jake? Was that an aye from Jake? Okay, and I also. Wonderful. So Jim, would you be notifying Mr. Taddy that we approve this?
Yeah, I'll notify him, yes. I see him every morning. We come down to bus detail here, so, I mean, the detail here, checking the kids, so yes. I'll
Yeah, I assume he'll be running down the hall to check in.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you. Thank you all. Personnel. There was nothing on personnel, right?
No personnel. No personnel.
Okay. And then an item that we had added as part of the agenda is requesting use of the large tent from the former country club. So that idea is to see, as the weather gets chillier and there's rain, if that larger, that large tent can actually be utilized. It's sitting there just, it's a great resource. So can it be used perhaps in the center of town, near the gazebo? Perhaps there could be programming such as the outdoor yoga programming, which has been happening sometimes even when it's raining a bit, or other rec programs. I don't recall, are the sides open in that tent?
There are sides on it, and the sides attached. You can take them off or put them on.
Okay, so that's great. Now, John, in terms of details, we had a discussion a little bit about this, that it's such a large tent, there needs to be some support measures, right? Can you tell us a little bit what it would entail? I'm not sure if you know this offhand.
It's a large tent, and it's large enough that they have a crew to put it up. It costs $1,500 to put the tent on because they have to do it with pulley cable system. It's so big, and it sits on a cement base right now. No, if we're going to put it over at the field, we don't have to have a cement base, but we do have to have cement footings where each one of the poles comes down so they don't sink into the ground, because it is very heavy. And it has to be attached like that. And then it's 2 ropes come off of each pole, each corner like this, and attach it down so it doesn't blow away. It's a pretty heavy tent, and it's pretty extensive, but it is well made. So if we're going to do that, we don't have to put a whole big, 40 by 40 or 60, whatever the size it is, slab down. We just have to put a 2-foot round in the ground, down under the frost line where each pole goes, and that's where it will go. That's all you have to do.
And is this something that when the tent is removed, when the weather's nice and we can have concerts again, would that be an issue? Is this something that someone can trip over, or is a hazard at all?
No, it's a regular tent. It's a regular sized tent, and these are large stakes that come down. They only come down about 2 feet outside of the cement area. For 2 big thick lines you can see, and you just put orange tape on them. So people say, or you spray the posts that are in the ground orange, and people could see them.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's out of the way. Usually, it's in an area where you're not running or fooling around or like that.
Is it something we need to? Oh, actually, the question. When you said $1,500, do you think it would cost $1,500 to do this?
To do the whole thing? No, that's just to put the tent up. I mean, to bring the tent over you'd have to get a contractor to come in and build the 8 or 10 posts that go in the ground. You have to do that. Then you have to have a company come over and set it up at the first step. I'm talking about once it's all set up, once it's there, then you put up the tent on it, and that's like $1,500. And then it's also a cost of taking it down for the winter. Taking it down, then we'll store it in one of our trailers.
John, is it something that you need before the winter, or could you wait till the spring?
I would wait till the spring. It's too late now to do it.
Yeah.
Because we'll have to go out and probably go through all the different departments.
Right.
You know, I don't know if it's inland wetlands or whatever it is, but it's a town land. So to move it over to there, you have to do exactly what they did over at the country club when they had to go through all the hoops to get it put up there. We'd have to do the same thing. But I think it might be much easier because we're not putting a full slab down. We're putting down just the cylinders that go in the ground and go down. So that this way, if we ever have to take it down and never use it, you just take it away and you don't have this gigantic big slab in the middle of everything.
So at the very least, we'd have to bring it before the Board of Selectmen.
Yes, definitely. It would have to go before them first and then go from, then they'll tell us where we have to go next.
Do you think, I mean, that we should, I know the next Board of Selectmen meeting is November 9th, which is just shortly. Do you think it's worth attending the Board of Selectmen meeting to start the process to see, because it will take some time.
Oh, yeah, the sooner you wait. If we wait till December meeting, that means we lost a whole month that they don't even know about it. We get on their agenda, we get put on the front burner, and we get to see where we go from there. That's a good point.
So maybe we can get on this meeting. Actually, it'd be good to get some feedback. Do people think this would be a worthwhile plan?
Adrian?
Yeah.
Have you had, do you have specific plans for the tent?
That's a good question. That's right, because we don't want to incur an expense without plans. Well, I guess my thought is there certain rec programming that we may not be able to offer that could be useful, or even when at some point when we can be outside, it would still be useful to have the overhang when programming is being run in rainy weather, for example.
There, I'm not sure. You remember that once you put a tent up like that and you have the sides, you have to deal with ventilation, movement of air.
Yes.
If it's raining and you don't have the sides up, you get a good ventilation. Once you put the sides up, you're going to have to come up with some type of ventilation so that the air, so many cubic feet of air is moved per hour to get in there, so you don't have just the stale air and everybody in there. Because we'll be under the COVID, I fear, for a while. One of the better places maybe to do is to find out if there's someplace over here at Beecher Road School where we could throw it up somewhere and put it here so that we could use it for summer camp. We could use it for summer camp, we could use it for programs. We could do a lot of things. That might be a thought about where we may want to put it instead of over there, where it'd be more access.
Yeah.
That we could use there.
Yeah. So that's actually a good point. Rec could use it. I mean, offhand, I'm thinking like yoga, but there are lots of different programs that could benefit, I'm sure. Like the summer camp, of course.
Sir, my suggestion would be over here, so to try to find a place closer to Beecher.
Yeah.
And the school could use it during the day while the school's here. We don't have to put the sides on. I mean, the sides can go up and you just open them up. You slide them in and they attach to the posts. And it's wide open. And then when you want to, you could close some of them or something.
Right. And if it's raining, and you still have sides open, and have protection. So this would be more of an issue to go to the school? Is this a board of? This is maybe more of a.
I think first we have to find out if the town's going to let us do it. If something that we could do with the tent, of the moving of the tent to someplace where we could secure it for recreation. We'd have to ask them first because maybe they don't want to do it. Maybe they don't want to pay that kind of money to have it put up somewhere. Maybe they just want to take it down.
So you think we need to ask them, not the school?
Well, no, I think both. I think first you go to the town. You don't want to go to the school and say, okay, I'll get an okay from the school. And then you go to the town. The town says, no, we're not going to do that. It's going to cost us too much money.
Okay.
So you go to the town first. And if they say, that's a good project, let's see what we can do and how we're going to do it. Then we go to the school and say, look, we're thinking about doing this. And it's a project where it goes up, but the school can use it also. It could be a school facility during the day. And then when recreation comes, we come in because it's an open, it doesn't have to be cleaned or anything. It's wide open. It's just, the air coming through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that should be the, either way, we still would have to go, even if we went to the school and they said, yes, we still have to go to the town. So let's go to our side first and then walk in and say, look, the town approves it and says we can do this. We want to ask you if we can and what we can do and how we can do it.
Do you feel like we have enough programming justification to do this?
Oh, sure. Once we have it, yes. That would open up our summer program. We could start a summer program because we wouldn't have to cancel. We could be outside. Most of the programs would be, the gyms and schools like that wouldn't be able to use the classrooms and stuff. But we have the gym, we'd have that program, we'd have the playgrounds. We'd have more here for the kids than we would anywhere else.
Yes. It also offers an outdoor classroom setting.
Yes, outdoor classroom setting. We can set up programs in there. We can have our after-school programs in there, like Little Scientists or Legos and things like that. We have the tables here. We'll keep them down in our garage. We bring them out. We set them up for our programs, and we take them down and we clean them and put them away and bring them out the next time.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Okay. So maybe we should try to get on the agenda for the Board of Select meeting for November 9th, I said?
Yeah.
How do we do that, Jim?
I gotta contact Jerry Shaw. I'll contact Jerry Shaw on that.
Okay.
John, too early. Together a little proposal. How much it might be for the Board of Selectmen.
I only heard we have a little proposal to ship my feet. I didn't hear you.
To put together a cost proposal to the boards of selectmen.
Yeah, I don't have any costs on it right now. I wouldn't even estimate on it. I'd have to ask.
I think Brad did some research, didn't he?
Yeah, I'll talk with Brad. I think Brad may have done some research on this already. I'll talk to Brad and see what he thinks about what it would cost to put in the footings. He's good at that. So we'll contact Brad Parsons.
Right, we would. That's good. Right, we want to give them as much information about Board of Select meeting as possible. Because there will be questions.
But Smith, your feet are okay?
Fine, thank you.
And actually, that meeting, you guys crack me up. It's good to have a moment of this. So that meeting, November 9th, if we can get on that agenda, that'll be before our next Rec Commission meeting. So John, if you were to go before the Board of Select meeting, I would be delighted to accompany you to that. I guess it'll be virtual. I don't know if there's anyone else who would want to. Okay.
You'll have to come up and do it here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jim's going to come because he's going to help me out here at the computer because I don't have a computer like to be able to do this.
Okay. So please be in the loop. Any other questions? I don't know if we need to vote on. Maybe we do need to vote on this. A proposal being to utilize the large tent that was at the former country club for recreational programming and perhaps programming. I don't know actually how to do this. I might be putting the cart before the horse. But to ask permission,
combined with the school activities.
Combined with school activity. Okay. So a motion to present a preliminary plan to the Board of Selectmen at their meeting, which hopefully will be November 9th, to discuss how the tent that was formerly at the country club could be useful for recreational programs as well as programs for students of Beecher Road School. And if we get permission, to proceed on with the steps we need to take in order to make a plan. That's cumbersome.
It's all right. it's the first thing we're going to do. It's we'll get started and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Who? So that's the motion.
Is there a second?
Second. And Mary. All
Mary
in
seconded.
favor, say aye, or raise your hand if you're visible. Jane?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And keep me posted, John. All right, moving on to the skating rink.
Yeah, sure.
Anything to report on the skating rink, John?
We're the echo.
Your speaker.
Is it me?
Oh, okay.
No, it's us.
Okay.
It's us that's doing it, and our speaker's too close to the microphone.
John's correcting that
So
right
we're
now.
getting it corrected. That's why I wasn't talking. I figured we're going to go let the tennis net stay up in November so far. We usually close November 1st, but the weather, we'll see how it is. If we get a first snowstorm that we're ended it, we'll take down the bottom nets. We'll leave the nets up top for all the way through to December 1st. And then we'll pull it out, and then we'll put in the skating rink. It's going to be a little different this year because Timmy is out on leave. He got hurt on the job, and he's the one that was totally in charge of it. He knows exactly how to do it, but Adam's crew could put together. We're going to move it over. It's not going to be where the same spot is. It's going to be in the same courts, but slid over away from where, because we were on a little bit of an angle. You can't see it, but when we put water in it, the water levels out deep to the right. So if we put it to the left, it won't be as deep, and it'll be the same way, just reversing it, and we just lock it up and people can use it. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and your director's report, please.
Oh, I'm back up. Here we go. Sorry.
You are.
Step back. Everything's going well. Our programs are going good. Teresa has the pool running smoothly. We started our Saturday program at Beaches South Field. I wish Mike was here because, you don't have to wear masks when you're on the field, but every kid wore a mask. Every kid, they were given the option. They come into the table, they take their temperature, they mark them in, they go in this, go onto the field, and they had the option of wearing or not wearing the mask. The Beach Road school children are so good at wearing their masks at school that they just felt they could wear them. They wore them the entire time through the entire soccer program, the whole time, even during the game.
Great.
So that's what we're going to do. When we open up our winter programs and everything, we'll have the option of, wear your mask. If you feel uncomfortable and you can't breathe, you can take, don't have to wear it. But the kids are learning. The kids are learning how to do it. And it's part of their generation now. And they know what to do. So that's what we're going to be doing. Checking on the fields, the playgrounds, and everything like this. We're doing really well. November 1st, we take the nets down at the Alleghi property. The basketball nets come down. The rims come down. Everything comes down. That closes the season for the year, for the winter, because what?
I was wondering. Sorry, I interrupted you mid-thought. Let me let you finish your thought.
Oh, we're closing it down because of the danger of ice and cold weather and a little bit of, you get a little bit of mist and you get water on the ice. Like we don't clean it or keep it slipped off, and kids could really get hurt on a slippery surface as the asphalt becomes very slick with ice on it.
Okay, I was wondering.
So that's why
I was actually wondering. I know we're keeping the tennis courts open. I wondered if it's the same concern at the basketball court.
Yeah, well, we'll keep the tennis courts open only through November. Tennis players, we have sponges there. We have those things you walk with and pick up everything.
Yeah.
And people in tennis are adults. And adults have the tendency, they're not going to play on a what do you call surface, but we have pieces of equipment there that could take care of that. And then we're going to close. We're going to close in November.
But the basketball field is a little bit riskier.
A little more risky because younger kids play. They come and play at any time, anywhere. It's open all the time. It's
okay.
So it's a little different.
Okay. Fitness
Other than that, we're doing. Other than that, we're doing good. We have like on the weekends, we have Teresa has the person at the front desk taking the temperature and everything like this. We have someone in the office that's the backup just in case. Let's there's an emergency in the pool, and that person up front that she has to go down to the pool and work there. The person in the office can go out front and take over, and we don't lose any stride. We don't have to close. We don't have to close the doors, lock it off. We can just keep running our program.
Okay.
And it's our backup safety system.
And how many, I know there was a delay in signing up for the program, actually, there was a delay in starting just so we could get more sign-ups. So how many people, how many kids do we have in our programs that were proposed?
We have 5 in the first section, what? 6 in the first section, and probably 6 in the second section. So we have
It's in
6
soccer
students in each
or
session.
soccer or?
Soccer. We're doing 2 weeks of soccer, 2 weeks of football, and 2 weeks of stickball. We're trying to, so everybody gets a chance to play something, then they'll sign up for. We're limited to John DeMail runs the program on Saturday along with Smitty, and Eris helps out. Eris is already on the payroll already. He's here working the front. He doesn't have to work after he does his sign in for the pool. Then the pool doors are locked. He goes outside and he's the soccer player, and he comes over and helps us with the soccer program. So his cost is already built in.
Okay.
So it just we cut it from 6 people to 2 people, but the 2 best people I have working.
Great.
And I'm sure we're going to get more once we start, being known that we are open. Because Saturday I was there and I was up talking to the parents, and the parents absolutely loved it. They said the kids getting out, just coming on a Saturday, going out and playing for the 45 minutes. They're getting instruction, then they're playing a game, and what they mostly said was it's not competition, it's fun. And that's what they liked about coming to Rec, that we're not a heavy competition where you have to be the star or something like this. You go out there and you have fun and play.
Great.
So that was good from the parents. There was about 8 parents sitting there.
Great. Has there been contact between students? I mean, I guess it's hard not to have contact for the sports.
Well, they're wearing masks.
Yeah.
They're wearing masks on the field, and the fields are only, if it's 6 kids, it's 3 on 3. One person stays on defense, 2 people on offense. So it's only 3 people on each side of the field. So we don't let the defense come over to the offensive side. The offense doesn't go over to the defensive side. They stay on each side of the field. And that limits it to just 3 people, and the 2 coaches are goalies. So we have the 2 coaches in the goal. We have Eris going back and forth as the official, working with them. And we made it a large field. We made an extra wide field, so there's plenty of room. And there's only 3 or 4 kids on a team. And if we get more, we make 2 fields, and we keep it at a maximum of 6.
Okay. Great. Any more discussion about this? The current programs? Okay. So maybe we then move to the proposed programs.
We're going to be working on trying to set up winter programs. We're going to try and set up the winter evening programs. After school, we still can't use after school because we have no area. The gym is used by the extended day program after school, and so is the South Cafeteria. So we do not have an area to go in. And plus it's the cost of cleaning. If we do have to use it, then we have to clean it after school, because that's to be clean for the school for the next morning.
This is where that tent could come in handy.
Yes, that tent would come in handy for spring and fall. Would be excellent. That tent. So we're proposing a basketball. We're proposing a
badminton, volleyball. The 4-on-4, we would do the classic league.
Yeah, we would cut the class league from a game of 5-on-5 and 8 on a team to 4-on-4 and 6 on a team. So it's only 24 students, 2 teams in the gym at once at the same time. So it's only 12 kids in the gym at one time. And then they switch out. We clean everything, the basketballs and everything, wipe the bleachers down, and then the next group comes in. They play their game, and then they go home. And then we clean the gym one more time at the end for the school.
This is for which program?
Evening program, basketball.
The
classic program.
That's
the junior high league.
Is this about?
Starting in December. It's in there.
Yeah, it's the last page before the budget. That program we're working on is the page right before the current financial stats.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So the idea is to start December 1st.
Right.
So we've got the basketball league. Grades 4, 5, 6. And the junior high school.
Right, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're starting off small with Tuesdays, Thursdays. Sunday would be the girls' basketball at the JCC, with a combination that we always do with them. But they have their CCD rules and regulations in effect at all times, so we're okay with them.
So this gets a little tricky, right?
In what sense?
Just are we ready to open these programs?
Well, I think so. I think we could start them. We cut them back to a smaller program. If the whenever it goes up, we're at almost 3% now in the state. If it goes up higher like this, we'd have to cancel everything like this and shut down if we start to have a problem. We haven't had a problem yet, and we're opening up slowly. We're not opening up. There's no evening gym. There'll be no adult basketball after that. We're not opening any of that stuff. It's not going to be open. We're just opening on a Tuesday and a Thursday.
I see.
And that's it. There's no other programs being run. And then a Saturday basketball and gymnastics. On Saturday we can use the beach. We can use the problem with the center school gym is we can't really use the center school gym because it's the old type system of heating. It just heat through the pipes, and there is no ventilation, not a single bit of ventilation in that place. You'd have to open the doors, and that's fine. But when it comes wintertime and it's sub-0 degrees out, you can't open the doors.
Yeah.
Over there. So we're going to do after school. We're going to do gymnastics in the morning, and then in the afternoon after that, we clean up, put everything away, and clean the gym, and then we have basketball after that.
So it would it would be Beecher Road School Kids. The let's see. So that's for the basketball league. That's just Beecher Road School Kids.
Right.
Jim.
Yes, I'm here.
They have to register Saturday, or couldn't they just come? Could they add on Saturday? Or
You do have to be registered. That was the question.
You have to be registered in our program to come. You can't just walk in. There's no walk-ins.
Right.
yeah, no, I didn't know.
Because then we can get 50 kids off the street walking in.
Right.
We're only allowed a limited amount of people.
Right.
In there. So like on a Tuesday night, we're only allowing 24. So the first 24 that signed up get to play.
Right.
And the same thing on a Thursday night. Otherwise, if you get people that's walking in to come in and play, you don't know what time or who they are or what they're doing like this. And instead of having 12 out there on the court, you could have 14, 15, 20. And we don't want that in the gym. We want to keep it small and tiny, keep it simple. 2 teams of 4 with one, probably maybe one substitute. So that's 10 kids instead of 12 there. So you have only one kid on the bench sitting and rotating into the game. And you don't have to have, if you have 2 kids on the bench, they can sit 6 feet apart. But when you get to 3 or 4 kids, you're using the whole area, 18 feet if you're 6 feet apart.
Right.
So we're going to keep it limited as best we can. And you have to sign up. I think signing up is the best thing in the world because then we know what we have, who's coming and who's there. And if there's tracing, if you have to do that tracing,
right,
and something happens and these kids come off the street, we don't have their name, their number, who they are, and they're registered. We won't be able to trace.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So this is so at any one time you're saying there are 10 kids? No. 8 kids playing?
Yeah, there'll be 12 at the most. There'll be 12 at the most in the gym at one time. 6 on one team, 6 on the other. That means 8 on the court and 2 sitting down.
Okay.
And you can rotate it.
Okay.
We would rotate them in, and then when we're done with that league, then we have a space in between. They all get up, they leave, and the next group comes in, and everything's clean. The basketballs are clean. The bleacher where they sit, coach where they sit is clean, and then the next group comes in, and when they're done, they go out. It's not like usually what we do is we bring everybody in at once. All 36, 38 kids come in at once. all 4 teams practice, do their drills, everything like this, and then 2 play and 2 sit. The sitting teams are now not going to be in the gym. They're not going to be here at all. They can't come in. You cannot come until your time is. We won't let anybody in because we'll have control over that. We'll let everybody out of the gym. Once they're out, okay, let the other people in once we're clean.
So now that we're inside, can we require people to wear masks when they're playing?
Yes, I said that before. I said before, like in the soccer outside, if you're playing inside, it's not mandatory because if you're playing a sport on the bench, yes. If you're on the bench, coaches always have to wear. Coaches and officials have to wear masks all the time. And if you're playing in the game, you do not have to wear a mask while physically in the game because it inhibits your breathing and stuff like this. But we're going to encourage that they wear their masks, and that only if those people that have trouble breathing or something like that would have to take the mask off. But we're going to encourage that everybody on the court should wear a mask, and that's what
my concern.
We don't play a hard high school game. It's not a hard game. We play a small gym. They could wear their mask. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to have a breathing problem.
Yeah, my concern is. Yeah, I heard what you said in soccer that they did wear them. My concern about not wearing masks is now we're bringing it indoors, and we need to be concerned about the aerosol and breathing, and if kids are running and that it's more risky. So I'd like to see.
I would say we use masks. I would say we'll make it mandatory at the beginning, but if somebody has a problem or something like that, we'll have to just deal with it as it happens. But I think you're right. Correctly, mandatory. We'll have them wear a mask while they're playing because when they're sitting on the bench, you have to wear your mask. Everywhere else, you have to do that. So yeah, we'll make it on the court, and we'll see because we don't play a hard game. It's not one of those high school games you're running up down and you're sweating.
Yeah.
This game is small. The court is so tiny that they don't have to work out that hard. We'll see how it works out, but we'll go with that. We'll go with a mandatory mask rule.
Let's start with more regulations than less. Do people agree with this?
Did who?
I wondered if the other commissioners agree with this as well. The wearing of the masks when they're playing. Yeah, Smith, did you have anything to add?
So I was going to say, it's amazing how different schools are doing things differently. For example, I know Beecher is using their gym for phys ed classes. Where I work, we haven't used the gym the whole year because of circulation problems.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's just totally different, and I think that's fantastic that we're trying to do something and doing all the precautions that we can, and we should continue to do that. I think we should just move forward with this program, and that's my opinion. We just move forward and see how it goes, and make adjustments as we go along.
Okay. So let's move forward with starting with a more stringent regulation of mask wearing and see how that goes.
Okay, that's good. We'll start with that, and then we can always ease up.
Yeah. Now, then we come to the junior high basketball league. Now, I know that, as far as I know, there have been no cases of COVID-19 at Beecher Oak School, unless I missed something.
No cases at Beecher Oak School.
In terms of the middle school, may there have been cases?
Don't know.
I'm not sure. I know the high school. I'm not sure.
High school had 6 already. They've had 6 COVID cases, I believe.
Yes, for the middle school.
Oh, Teresa, how many cases do you know?
What I have read through boards, online and stuff.
It's a little bit. I heard an echo. I didn't hear an echo.
So the information where I got it from was online from boards online where people parents, and so far what I have seen are 2 confirmed cases.
Two confirmed. So it's a little bit more delicate with the middle school program. Middle school kids also need to be fit and get some physical energy. You know, if we're to propose doing it with the junior high school, again, I would say mask wearing would be mandatory. Do you think we need to?
We'll go mandatory with all our programs. We'll do mandatory at all. And Beecher Road School's South Gym had a couple years ago had their circulation system in the gym revamped and everything. So it's excellent, and that's why it's a good gymnasium. That's why Beecher North has the same thing. So maybe that's why they have their physical education classes, because their circulation system of air is excellent. And we have the doors to open. We've opened the doors before over there and left them open during programs. We'll do that again, but I think mandatory masks would be a good start for both programs.
Okay, so we really need to stringent and also the questions about exposure to COVID-19. You know, kids from Beecher may also have siblings in the middle school or high school, and then we have the middle school where there have been some cases. So we have to think about classmates and exposure.
Well, we have the top of the page, all CDC regulations to be followed during participation. And underneath that, social distancing at all times, when not wearing a mask. Mask will be worn to and from the gym and also during the participation of the program. We'll add participation of the program, masks will be worn, are mandatory to wear.
Okay.
We'll add that in, and that'll cover us. That'll cover everything. And we still do the temperature taking. We do everything. We do the disinfecting between the programs.
We talk about part of the questionnaires about exposure to anyone you think may have had COVID-19.
Yeah.
Do we ask that question?
We can hand them out. We have the questions. We have the questions.
Okay, we should ask.
Hand them out. When they register, we'll have them. Do we have it online? Is it online? Have them fill it out?
I think every time they come in, they have to say that. We take the temperature, you have to ask the question. Right.
Yes.
Every time they
come in,
you ask the question.
Yes, and we have the questionnaire. Every time they come in, you take the temperature, you ask them all the questions, and then you release them. You come in.
Yeah.
That's your way out of control.
Okay, so let's be really stringent. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then the Saturday. Plan the same thing.
Same thing on Saturday.
Okay. Do we need to vote on that? Although there's some more programs, right?
Yeah, on previous page, yes, you got adult badminton, adult volleyball. We got the JCC conjunction program with them, the girls basketball. We have an art and craft program outside that we wanted to try.
We had a nice big tent. We could put the arts and crafts program into that big tent if we had one.
Yeah, I see that nice art piece. So then we're talking about adult programming.
Yeah, we have volleyball and badminton that we wanted to resume.
That would be what,
Monday and Wednesday.
Monday and Wednesday would be adults. So there'll be no children's programs or adults programs on the same day in the same area.
Okay.
And basically that's to protect the children.
Yeah.
Well, we like to protect the adults, but they've had a life.
We'd like them to continue. Okay. So.
And we'll make mask mandatory. If you want mandatory for the adults, we'll just tell them that they have to wear masks. Because already volleyball people have asked, should they wear masks? So we said we'll
I think so. I mean,
I think it should be mandatory for all programs.
Adult volleyball, people get right in the net. They're getting right in people's spaces. I think we really, it's the only way we can run the program.
I think that's the only way we should run any program. We'll make it mandatory. If you don't want to come because it's mandatory, then don't come to our program. If
That's
you don't want
fine.
to wear it. We have to be safe. We have to think about everybody, not just the one individual.
Yeah, we're here to protect everyone and to wear the mask. It needs to cover our nose and mouth. It needs to fit properly. Yeah. And we need to, I guess, be watchdogs a little bit just to make sure that's happening. And maybe people need to take more breaks or need to go grab a drink of water or something. If that's the case, then I guess programs adjust accordingly.
Well, badminton is built in 6 foot separating, with the nets and everything, and the way they play. And if you're playing two people on one side of the net, you're always 6 feet apart. And then you have the other side. volleyball,
Maybe 4
we made it 4-on-4. We dropped it from 6 to 4-on-4. That gives you more space on the court and everything like this. And if you saw the speed of the players that we have, I don't know if they need the breaks because they don't play at that great of a speed. It's not like the volleyball you would see in high school where they go up into the nets. If the people hit it over the net, that's great. So I think that's important that we cut the players down to 4.
Okay, I agree. Okay, I agree.
Okay.
And then the arts and crafts.
It's gonna be a 1-day program outdoor. They want to do before the fall ends, and we were thinking that use the pavilion at Pease
Yes.
in the table, just do it there for 1 day.
Yeah. Pease has four tables that are separated. They're about 8 feet apart underneath the pavilion. And so they're separated there, and it's under that. We don't have to put up a tent or anything. We don't have to worry, and they can run their program there for 1 day.
Okay.
And masks are required.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all the new
We'll make that a
programming.
part of all our. We're going to make that part of all our flyers. All our flyers will be mandatory wearing of masks during the program at all times. That's going to be part of it from now on.
Okay, so let's take a vote or a motion to accept the programming as presented through the rec department of the. Let's see, we've got the basketball league. Tuesday, Thursdays, 6:30 to 9. The junior high basketball league. Thursdays. That's the same day as the. Wait a second. How does that work?
John, with the JCC, it's at the JCC building. Do they require wearing
Yes.
that?
I'm not positive of their CDC regulation or anything, but I think regulations there are you do wear a mask.
Oh, the JCC,
But
right.
it's community service throughout the different towns. So I think they have to wear a mask there. But you can't quote me 100% correct. I'm not sure.
Can we require it through? It's a recreation department, recreation program, or is it different?
We'll have to call Alan Greenberg. We'll call Alan Greenberg tomorrow. We'll give Alan Greenberg a call and say that we'd like to have mandatory masks worn when our program, when we're in combination with our program, and we require mandatory masks by the participants. We'll make sure he does that.
Okay, so the proposal.
And if he doesn't want to do it, if they say they're not going to do it like this, then we just don't have the program. Our kids can join the JCC through the JCC if they want. They want to be part of the girls, want to be part of that program. We don't get a large amount of girls from Woodbridge. We get about 8, which is good, and they have their 8, so they get 16. So I think he wants that, have both of us together, so we have enough to have a nice little tiny competitive little games between each other.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to Alan tomorrow. We'll give him a call.
Okay, that would be good. So we're voting on the basketball league program. That's for the 4th, 5th, 6th graders. The junior high, which is a separate day. 7th, 8th, 9th graders on Thursday. The basketball. Gosh, I'm getting confused. On Saturdays, right?
Yes.
And the art program, the resuming of the volleyball league. That's adults. Right?
Yes.
And the adult badminton program. And then the basketball at the JCC. With the modification that all participants need to wear masks during programming, and that the COVID questions will be asked each time someone attends, including if the person has been exposed or thinks they were exposed to someone who had COVID-19. Do I have a second? Smith. Or wait. do I have, I'm goofing up. So, yeah, okay. Do I have a second? You were the second. Okay. All right, Mary. Any further discussion? I know we've spent a lot of time on this, but it's really delicate. And so I just want to make sure we're being as careful as we open these programs. I'm kind of like holding my breath a little bit here. Any
This is the way
further?
you're supposed to do it. Are we diluted?
Yeah, now,
I think this is the way we're supposed to do it because we came up with the solution of mandatory wearing of the mask, which is an excellent idea, and that's what we're going to do. And that's going to be our policy. Excellent.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of this motion? Oh, with the, of course, if there's a change in COVID, if we're seeing more cases, we will have to suspend programming. So that's something that could happen before our next meeting, right? And I would assume, John, you would inform me if that has to take place.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So all in favor? This motion. Raise your hand. Or verbalize it as you're not on screen. Sorry, Smith, you're off screen. And Jane. Jane, are you did you vote? Okay, and Jane, did you vote? I'm sorry. I don't know if Jane voted.
Jane there? Her microphone's on still.
Yeah. Jane, are you there? Oh, we're also missing Kim tonight, actually. Jane, are you there?
Well, there's 4 of us without Jane.
Okay.
Right.
All right, so we have a quorum. That would be certainly nice to get Jane's input. Jane, if you have input, please provide that. Otherwise, without Jane's vote, I guess she abstains. I'm not sure how to read this. Okay. All right. Move on to financial report. Okay. And thank you, John, and everyone for taking this all very carefully. I know it's challenging. I appreciate the thought behind all this.
You know what? By my own paper.
Okay, financial report. John, do you usually lead us through this, or Jim?
it's unmuted.
Yeah, we have the current expenses at 19.5%, and last year we were at 38.5%, and that's about half we dropped. And if you go to income, last year this time the income was 26%. We're at 14%. So our income is just a tiny bit higher than our taking in our costs, but they're just about even. We're in the same boat, so we have a little bit more income than costs.
Okay.
That's basically it.
All right. You know what we didn't talk about in programming is the road race. Do we need to add that after? To other programs. Because the road race was going to be combined. I'm backtracking a bit. That Chris Dickerson was going to have some sort of run.
Yeah, he already had it. He had his run, he had everything, and he had to sign up that this is a combination of his road race, a combination with the anyone that had run in the Woodbridge Road Race, coming to his road race. This is going to be in place of the Woodbridge Road Race for this year as a culvert.
How did it go?
And it went great. Oh no, he told me it was good. He didn't give me the exact numbers. He said, but he had a good turnout in the 50s, which is a good turnout. We only get 100, but he got around the 50s or so. And they had staggered times. He's got all the equipment. People came in at their own times. They stepped on a platform. They had the things hooked up to their shoes. It registered them going out and coming back in. So they were staggered all over the place at different times. So it was like not a road race starting at 10 o'clock. It was a road race starting at 10, 10:08, 10:16, 10:22, 10:30, like that. And everybody ran. And then they were all the times were put in the computer.
And when was it held?
When was it held?
It was held at the Woodbridge Country Club of Woodbridge and the 10th, I think.
Yeah, right? 'Cause we were supposed to have ours on the 3rd, and I think he held it.
He held it a week later, a week after ours. October 10th, I think it was.
Okay. And
Ours was supposed to be the 3rd.
was there any fundraising?
Was there any fundraising? Because in the past
we make a contribution like to road race to food and fuel. But this was not our
There
race.
was no contributions this year. We had no contributions this year because he ran the whole program. He absorbed the cost of the program. He absorbed the cost with his running club, whatever it is like this, for all the equipment that they had to use, the timers, the equipment, and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, Kathy would normally start in June to collect funds for that. So I mean, if we were having a road race, we had to.
We'd have to get all our funds way before the race.
Yeah.
Sure.
Start in June.
Sure.
By August, we'd have everything. Beginning of August.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to. Sorry to backtrack. I realized we have to address that. Okay. So normally Kathy would come to our meeting and talk about food and fuel.
Yes.
Is this something we expect will be discussing?
I hope we have a road race next year. I hope we're back to that a year from now. I hope we'll know come February, March, April what's going on.
Sure.
But maybe we could. Maybe I could work, with Chris Dickerson, and maybe he could help us run that program like he ran and run our race the same way. We'll just have no food there, no tables, everything like this. We'll just set up a starting line thing, and you register ahead of time. You come in and you step on the thing and you go.
Okay, so we'll see.
We have a virtual race too if it comes to that. I mean, we didn't know about that this year that people do that, but the Hartford Marathon was virtual. I think the New Haven road race was virtual. So now that we know people do that, I mean, they were giving out T-shirts and everything in those events. So now that we know, we probably plan for a virtual race if we had to.
Okay. And Mary, I know you mentioned that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we can think about that. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for back-talking with me. Policy up. Capital budget.
Capital, that's good. Yes.
In the capital budget, we have two previously approved capital program projects. One's a shuffleboard court. One shuffleboard court is in, and we're holding the monies on the other one because we haven't found a place exactly where we wanted to put it, and the money could be held to put that up. The other one is replacing the skating rink. We have $8,400, and that's for the cost of a new liner. Our liner right now is in good shape, but they only last 3 to 5 years. So we have the money already sitting there, and if our liner goes down, we can order another liner. And if we want to expand, if our program's going good and we want to make our place a little bit bigger, then we can buy the walls and extend it. If it's 50 feet long, we can add, there's 6-foot things, so we can add 2 more sections and make it 62 feet long and make it a little bit bigger if we wanted to. And the money is already there. It's already appropriated and it's being held. So that's what we're holding that money for. That's why it's not being spent.
Okay. I guess we'll see what happens with cold winter weather.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm hoping for it. Well, we're supposed to get snow Friday, I guess. I don't know.
I heard. When does when will the skating rink go up? I guess after.
Yeah, at the end of November. Usually at the end of November, we put it up. Right after Thanksgiving, the week after Thanksgiving, we usually go and put it up.
Okay.
All right. We have our programs we have for next year, for 2022. The first one is the PVC boundaries for the outside area of the outdoor volleyball court at the Country Club of Woodbridge. That'll keep the materials in. Every year we have to replace the materials of sand. We have to bring it in. It gets washed out. But if you have the PVC piping that goes all around the outside, And once it goes in, it stays in. It's a one-time cost, and that's it. That PVC pipe, well, I'll be in heaven by the time that thing rots out. Well, I want to know if it's heaven, but I'll be somewhere.
Mm.
But that's a one-time cost, and it would really help that program because we had a good program outside. Jim
A
had
lot of permits this year.
a lot of permits this year.
Yeah.
And we even had one permit that came in and after they used it like this at the end of the season, they took everything down for us. They folded everything up. They put it on the side like this. And we said, well, you didn't have to do that. We were so thankful that you guys had an outdoor court that we could come and play on. And we wanted to do something for you. So I thought that was really nice. People
That's what
enjoyed
it
it.
is. That was used this summer.
That was used this summer.
Oh, yeah. A lot. It was by permit. It was by permit only. And people wouldn't use it. If people went in there without a permit, without telling us, that's okay. They could use it outside with this outside equipment.
Do you know how many
We got a
players we
permit.
have
How many players we
at a
had
time we had
at
using
the
it?
time we had using it?
Yeah, I do know. I think it was limited to 4 too, as far as I was saying 4 and 4. So
Yeah.
I think they,
Yeah.
kept the numbers low.
Okay,
We tried to explain to them that it's a
Okay.
4-on-4 court.
great.
Great.
Right, that was the first one. The second one is what we do every single time in our program. It's a rotating of a gymnastics equipment that we put in. Replacement equipment that reaches its function at the end of 4 or 5 years. It's usually, the different pieces of equipment, the mats and things like that have to be replaced like that. So it's just a minimal cost. And that's just a safety thing that we do. And we're in the 4th year of a 5-year plan, so that's why it's on the 23rd. So the year in 2023, we're going to be needing to replace a couple of things.
Okay.
Okay.
The next one is the fitness trail. Currently fitness trail equipment is nearing the effective of the lifespan, and we're looking at putting up a program, and that would be the labor. There's no labor cost on that, just the engineering with the town how to do it and the material, because it's usually done by an Eagle Scout.
Yeah,
We always find
Yeah.
one of the Eagle Scouts come in and do that program. That'll be their program for us. The last 2 times we did it was both Eagle Scout projects, and they did an excellent job because they have to follow all kinds of procedures. They have to work with the town. They have to work with the town. What is it? What do you call it? Adam, the Parks Department. They
mhm,
have to work so they get the specializations of what has to be done. The next one is a treadmill replacement. This may or may not have to be put in there because we haven't used the treadmill. We haven't used it for a year. So our treadmill may or may not come, the town might look at it and say, look, you haven't used it. Those are the years coming down the road that we could, but we didn't use it this year.
But it's getting harder and harder to get parts.
Yes.
So this is really important because especially if we're going to be moving to the old firehouse, it'll be good to have nice new equipment. Because sometimes the vendor says, once we're out of this stock on these models, that's it. You're out of luck. So it is an important project, I feel, and
Yeah, Jim's right. Jim's right.
it's something.
And the next one is the second one is in 2026
okay.
down the road. That's a little bit
Okay.
down the
Thanks for your
road.
input.
Thanks for your input.
The next one would be the recreation townwide activity tent. This is what we were talking about. We had a 13,000. We wanted to get a tent. I left it in there because I didn't know what they're going to do with the Country Club of Woodbridge tent. But
Yeah.
if we get the Country Club of Woodbridge tent, we could remove this. There's a $13,000 savings to the town right there. We could explain that to him. But Mr. Gigoletti would absolutely love not spending any money on recreation.
So that might be good to present at the Board of Selectmen meeting.
Yes, that's why I used the chairman of the finance committee's name and number because he would be the one to explain this to.
Sure.
All finance directors love to save money. So,
Sure, right.
and he does a good job of what he does. The next one is basketball outdoor courts. Okay. This is the construction of West River Field. We don't have any, we were taken down because the insurance company said they were too close to the edge of the baseball field.
Mhm.
And they were improperly put in because the baseball field was expanded. So they were taken out and never replaced. And that's something I think that down the road we should be looking at in that area with all the little kids and everybody that's down there to be able to play and put it in properly so it has enough room between the ball field and the playing ground so they could play.
Yeah.
So that's in the year 2025 to put in one court. It's one court, and we would use the like we do at the Alleghi property. We'd have the baskets that go up and down. So we can register. If you want to play little kids there, you drop it to 6 feet, 8 feet. If you want the older kids, you put it up at 10 feet.
Mhm.
So that's that program. The next one we always leave in. We put this in. It hasn't changed. It's always 5 years out, 6 years out. It's the 90-foot diamond. And we just leave it there.
Yep.
It's just, you know, my grandkids are now born and old enough and going to be, by the time we even think about this, will be, we'll be in high school.
So, John,
I hope I'm still around.
Yeah.
And that's our proposal. That's our, nothing major in our proposal.
Do we need to vote? I guess we need to vote on that.
Yeah, so we can send it into the town. It has to be voted on by the commission, so then we can send it to Tony.
Okay.
then what's the step after that, John? After Tony approves it, can we move on, for example, with the PVC pipe volleyball court?
Well, it has to go, we send it over to Tony and Tony presents it to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen vote on it and then they send it to the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance votes on it and takes out what they want like this. And then they send us back. And then if our program is still in there that year, yes, then we get it. We put it in, right? We can put it in as of the first of the year.
Okay.
I mean, July 1st, right? July 1st.
July 1st.
We can put the program in. And that'd be good because that's the time of the year where we start setting everything up, you know, about the program. I mean, the net will probably already be up a month or two, but we'll go out there and we'll have Adam's crew put in the PVC pipe and then it'll be ready to go. And we won't have to worry about every year. It'll be a savings. That's also another thing for the town. We've explained to them. It's a savings.
Right.
It's a savings again where they don't have to send their crew out there to bring over the material, to drop materials in. The materials will not wash away and it'll be right there. And all we have to do is just rake it and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
And that's our proposal.
Yeah. Could we leave anything out of the proposal? Is there anything else on the wish list, John, or do you think that covers it?
Yeah, I think it covers everything.
So do we have a motion to accept John's director's proposal for the capital budget? Smith, and a second.
Jane is on mute now.
Bill?
Second.
Bill, I think Bill beat you by that much, Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll just start the vote.
And Jane, are you?
I started the vote.
Not hearing from Jane. Okay, but we have a quorum. All right. Then, no policies and procedures, right?
No.
And we have some correspondence.
Yeah, I mean, just Ellie Shee, the first one, that, you know, thank him for opening the pool. I'm glad to have the pool back open.
That was very nice to see the appreciation, and certainly the numbers speak. It sounds like from Teresa's perspective, it was well received. And it's really nice to get that. Thank you from Ellie.
And then one, thank you for Bill's yoga class from Susan. She said, thank you, Bill. And she was right. Bill was fast when we had the pandemic. He was right away to go with the Zoom classes and resume everything. And he didn't miss a beat. And it's a great program to have.
Yeah, that's great.
That's also another program that can be used under the tent.
Yes.
That's another program that can be put under the tent any day of the week.
Really, it's nice to get this correspondence from community members. Really show appreciation for the great programming that Rec is offering. So special thanks to the pool, staffing, and to our yoga teachers. I think was Diane also offering some yoga.
She started, but then her class just did not like it, being she was under the tent, and they just didn't like it, the noise and everything in that area, she was saying, so she stopped.
Okay. Is she doing any virtual yoga now?
No, not right now. He's hoping that the buildings will get open soon, so they could resume to be in the, in Route 16. No
Which
word on that yet.
Which we have no just when that will happen.
No.
Okay,
No,
but
but
at
when it does
Building
happen,
Two-
we're gonna come up with a solution for the fitness center, the same as the pool. We'll open up the fitness center and you have to sign up for it. We'll have 2 people per 3 people per session, like 9 to 10, 3 people can come in, they leave, and then 9 to 9:15, we clean it. 9:15 to 10:15, the next group, you know what I mean? We could do 4 sessions to get people that want to go back into the using the fitness center. And we don't have to open it up. The pool is what do we have for the pool? Monday, Wednesday, Friday? What is the pool? Pool's a weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
Right, yeah.
We have pool Saturday and Sunday, so we could do the fitness center maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. So every other day there's something to do. So we have the weekend, and you're off on Monday, Tuesday the fitness center, off on Wednesday, Thursday the fitness center, off, and then Saturday, Sunday the pool. So people can rotate and have a choice, but not have to choose between the 2.
When are you thinking of?
Or we could have it on the same. We're not going to open it on the weekends. I thought maybe we'd. At first, we'd open up small, or maybe we just open it up on the weekend like we did the pool. Just open it up small and go from there. When
When
the
are you
building's
thinking of-
open to people coming in.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you. When are you thinking of? Proposing this to start?
Well, it's after the town opens the buildings. After the town opens it up and says the buildings
see.
are open for people, the public to come into the building. Otherwise, you can't come into the building.
Okay, fair
And
enough.
then we would do it by reservation only. So only certain people come at a certain time.
Okay. All right, so we'll see. We don't have a sense yet as to when that will be happening.
No.
No.
We'll
Okay.
go after the first of the year, maybe.
Okay. All right. Is there any other business? I don't know if we need to. I'm wondering if we should discuss this food and fuel issue.
We have money in this?
That's good. We didn't have a fundraiser.
We didn't have a fundraiser.
6,000, which is normally our base.
Maybe we do 500. Oh, I forgot. There's one other thing we have to do. The Woodbridge Fire Department is having a truck or treat drive-by, and
When
Woodbridge
is-
Rec is always sponsors.
Did we?
Woodbridge
do we
Fire
need to
Department.
vote? Perhaps we have to vote
We need
on
to vote on-
new business. Why don't we take a
Yeah,
vote to add the discussion of the truck or treat? And I'd like to just talk about the food and fuel fund. Do we have? Let's take a vote if people are okay with adding those 2 items to our agenda this evening. All in favor? Okay. Anything from Jane? Okay, so we have a quorum. I haven't seen from Jane. So let's talk about that now, John. Yeah, the truck or treat. I thought it happened. We didn't miss it, right?
No, it's going to be happening on the 31st. It's going to be happening on the 31st from 5 to 8 or something like that. And then Halloween night, it's going to be on that night. There'll be no food served. There'll be the pre-packed bags for everybody. The rec department pre-packed 200. Teresa packed 200 bags for the Beecher Road hoop. But the Beecher Road School decided that nothing is to be handed out. We had our table, we had it all set up, we're ready to go. We were giving out pencils and erasers and all kinds of things like that. And so we're going to donate our 200 bags to the firehouse, and they can hand them out, put them at our truck. Our truck is there, and we hand them out like we do every year. And we can hand out stuff from our truck from the Woodbridge Recreation Department. And that's a $500 donation to the fire department. It goes directly to the fire department. And our truck will be manned. Myself, my wife will be manning that truck. And anybody else that wants to come, John, Jim, Dave, whoever wants to come.
Yeah, I don't know if you need any, are you looking for any volunteers from the commission?
No, because we don't have enough space. We just have a limited space. We can only be where the truck is. So just be like, probably just 2 of us, probably just my wife and I, because then we don't have to worry about it. I don't want Billy there because he'll probably take the bags home.
Yeah. And this is the macaroni and cheese this year. So are you gonna be dressed up?
I might. We'll see what if I feel like it. Yeah, maybe.
Skeleton.
Yeah. Joke.
All right, so
What's up, T?
we need to take a vote if a motion to attribute the $500 donation to the fire department for the annual trick or treat, which we always support. Motion. Anyone else? Do we have? Okay, and Billy.
Make the motion for the $500 donation.
All in favor?
Who seconded it? I'm sorry.
Smith.
Okay.
I think, yeah. Okay, all right, great. And then the other item was food and food. Fun time. So I know we didn't have the road race. I don't know how tough it is in the human services right now. I don't think we have any funding to make any sort of contribution, but I just thought I would raise it.
Yeah, I think with what we have, because we're at the minimum of 6,000, we put up 500 for the road race, 500 for the truck or treat. I think another 500 should go to food and fuel. Give them something so they have something this year, even though we didn't have a race, we have something. And next year, we could, if we don't have a race or something next year, then that might be an option to say that, could you please donate a little bit like this to help us? And those donations will go to food and fuel next year if we don't have a race.
How much have we been contributing last year, for example?
It's 3,500.
I'm sorry?
3,500.
3,500, yeah.
3,500 has been what we've been doing. We
Yeah,
didn't do any fundraising this year.
right, okay. So we have a proposal to contribute $500 to the food and fuel fund. Do we have a second? Okay, any discussion?
Wait, who made the motion? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Well, I'm not a commissioner. I can't make the motion.
Who made the motion?
I guess I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
And who seconded?
Billy.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Or was it Smith? All in favor of making a contribution to food and fuel for $500. And we should notify Kathy Adamovich. Who's been a huge advocate for this. So
I might see her tonight when I leave here, so I'll let her know.
I expect you will. Okay, wonderful. Any other business that we need to discuss? We covered quite a lot of territory, and I know it was a long meeting. When is our next meeting scheduled, Jim?
December 7th. December 7th. Remember, we combined the November and December to an early December meeting. So
Okay,
December 7th.
okay. All right. So, shall we make a motion to, well, firstly, thank you all for your participation and your dedication from staff to commissioners. Thank you all very much for your time. And do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Really? And we second it, Mary. So we're adjourning the meeting at 9:10. All right. Take care, all. Be well. Don't forget to
Happy
vote.
Thanksgiving, because we won't see each other.
Oh, yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Stay safe. Happy Halloween. And take care.